dinner, they'll smell the tomato sauce, and they'll come running on over to the CONVO couch. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Pastor Jardula.
Hi, and I'm Fiorella.
We have a great show for you today. Welcome back. We had a great week, fam. There was a lot of stuff going on. The debate lineups were announced.
Yep.
But we're going to start the show off with a story the CONVO couch has kind of been leaking about, talking about several months ago. On this show, we point out Lula in Brazil, who's a big socialistic leader from the years 2002, I believe, to 2010. He just brought people out of poverty. He was once poor himself, Lula da Silva, and he was one of the great leaders in Brazil. And in Brazil has a law, you can run for more than 2 terms, but you can't do more than 2 consecutive. So you got to sit out for a little while and then get back in. And Lula was getting ready to get back in, and then all of a sudden we had this little scandal that was going on, a little proposed scandal by the Brazilian courts, and guess who backed it up, fam?
The DOJ, fam.
Our DOJ. The Real News report did a reporting on it as well. We see over here the Lula's defense, the very first one. Before that, I'm sorry, Johnny, for jumping ahead. The Lula's defense exposes the DOJ FBI control over Brazil's Lava Jato. And what this was called the car wash operation, this whole commission. And this one man who was just, this one judge who was, he was just honored. He was just praised in the public eye of the media, fam. His name was Moro, convicted Lula of a scandal of an apartment house. And that knocked him out of the running to come back for president, fam. And then Bolsonaro won the election.
And we had a lot to do with that, as far as the DOJ, right? And,
Yep.
And also, it's no coincidence that Lula was a socialist type of guy. He was for the people, of the people. He was highly popular. And Brazil has had this tendency to jail or get rid of people, at least the corrupt mafia in Brazil, and install these corrupt people. Bolsonaro now is pretty much commercializing the Amazon rainforest, which is so vital to keeping our earth alive and our animals and our planet. And the fact that they're commercializing this is such a hit against that it's going to exacerbate the climate change scenario.
Yeah, and it's all connected, right, fam? We say this all the time.
Right.
It's about foreign policy, means a lot to our domestic policy, where we get involved. And now this is even bringing into the global warming, the climate change people, because this is our rainforest, ladies and gentlemen. The ecosystem, I was asking questions about it yesterday, and Bolsonaro has just opened it up. He plans to let, the environmental panel that protects the rainforest, he plans to axe it. You know what I'm saying? It's like cutting regulations, or what are they called over here in the States that people talk about it all the time? The restrictions, the protections. Bolsonaro says he plans to have the rainforest reserve maybe opening to more mining. And other than Peru, which owns the second most part of the rainforest, Brazil has a lot of control about this. And like we said, fam, this affects the Pacific Ocean. It affects the Atlantic Ocean. It affects our climate. And if we ruin the rainforest, we're not going to only lose, ourselves, but the pink dolphins. Yes. Fam, we talk about the pink dolphins.
We did.
You did a little research on the pink dolphins. I just want to talk about a species. When fam said, there are dolphins in the rainforest, I was like, get the fudge out of here. But we talked about, I didn't believe it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about these dolphins, fam, because it's just a unique species. Go ahead. Talk about the dolphins.
Well, these dolphins are very unique. They're already endangered anyway, and they start out being gray dolphins, and then they change color as they age, and they have this like pink. But the problem is these animals eat the fish that are there, and the fish are already dying in mass amounts, and then the fish are dying because they're first of all, there's plastic on the ground, there's oil, there's a lot of oil rigging over there as well, and so the lower level animals like the plankton that these fish eat are also contaminated. So then these dolphins can't get the food they need, so they're gonna die out. And then this is happening all over the entire world.
Yeah.
But the Amazon River itself is home to a multitude of species that are completely unique, that aren't in any other part of the world. And the native people have actually been fighting. They've been standing up to Bolsonaro. They've been doing like people went to North Dakota and they did the no DAPL thing. They're pretty much doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And they are very adamant about this. But I feel like we are kind of ignoring the ties here to what's going on in Brazil. And Glenn Greenwald was the one that started talking about Lula. And because you realize how it's all connected and like how we can't, once these species start dying off, it affects the entire interdependence of the ecosystem. And the Amazon dumps into the Atlantic Ocean. So that's a whole other thing. The Atlantic Ocean is also entirely at peril.
Yeah, and it's not just about resource extraction, because that's what this is like when it comes to about, you know, us, our DOJ, why we do this, helps Bolsonaro, who's like a Trump when it comes to, you know, climate control and business. They're businessmen. So the Amazon is just opened up for business, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, get your hotcakes. We're going to drill oil there. We're going to just destroy the whole Amazon. We're going to ruin the ecosystem, and then we're all fucked. We don't care as long as there's dollars and cents. But it's also, fam, about control, because I talk about this, that, you know, we are all just sheeps of the elite. And, you know, we're going to break down this Lulu interview. We talked about this Lula interview with Glenn Greenwald, why he goes there. And they use the same techniques in Brazil that they do over here, and it's about control. And I just want you to hear a little bit of the way Lula speaks and what he talks about, because the man is so inspiring. It's no wonder when he left office, he had an 87% approval rating. But what they did to him, they're trying to do also in other ways to Maduro as well. Let's take a look. Let's talk about how it went down, fam. And I want you to pay attention here, because guess what, fam? They use the press there too. They have controlled media. Would you believe it or not? Here is Lula talking 409.
Claro. Me parece que essa frase é de filósofo inglês, eu não sei o nome, de que a desgraça da primeira mentira é que você passa o resto da vida mentindo para justificar a primeira mentira. Você está lembrado, não sei se está lembrado, quando eu fui fazer o primeiro depoimento para o Moro. Na frente do Moro eu disse: você está condenado a me condenar. Porque é a quantidade de mentiras que vocês contaram. Sabe, num acordo feito entre a Lava Jato e a imprensa brasileira, porque a Lava Jato não seria o que é se não fosse a cobertura da imprensa, um conluio entre os meios de comunicação televisado, rádio e jornais, em que você tinha praticamente editores em cada jornal para receber as matérias em primeira mão antes dos advogados.
Right.
Antes dos advogados de defesa receber qualquer notícia, a imprensa recebia. Então, graças a esse conluio, você construiu uma mentira. Então eu fico pensando todo dia e toda hora o seguinte: como é que a Globo...
Yep. I just want to stop it down there. And fam, what do? They control... This is why independent media is so important. The truth tellers are so important. Why we do this, to be part of the mice squeaking against the avalanche and stuff. They use the press, fam. They use the newspapers. They get the information before the public does, before anybody else does, and they use it to lie, smear, taint, just like they did to Bernie, just like they're doing to Tulsi, fam. And they did it over there in Brazil as well.
And they I don't know if he's going to talk about a little bit of the cultural aspects of it, but Brazil and the United States have something in common. We have the racial issue in common, where we were, you know, huge in the slave trade, as was Brazil, more than other countries in South America. So they do have that racial dichotomy that is a problem, and that has been manifested. We've seen how the divide is between the white populations, quote unquote, and the Afro-Latino populations that exist there. And, you know, it's such a big part of this whole thing too. And it's also, of course, class and culture related.
Yeah. So we're going to get to that too as well. And when you talk about that, fam, when you talk about the class and culture, watching this next clip over here, we're going to jump ahead, because I want to encourage everyone to go to The Intercept and watch this interview. It's amazing. There's so much stuff here. But I want to talk about that, because you're going to talk. He talks about crime and how it's always pinned on the poor and whatnot. Take a look right here, 1842. Lulu talks about how he has an open transparency and how he actually reduces crime. Watch this.
Você fez anteriormente. E eu lembro numa entrevista que o nem deu para a revista, se não me falha a memória, Isto É, em que ele dizia que o presidente que mais tirou bandido da rua foi o PT, o governo Lula, porque com o PAC ele perdeu mais de 20 mais de 20 bandidos ligados a ele para ir trabalhar no PAC. Então, se você quiser diminuir a violência, não é distribuindo armas, é distribuindo educação, distribuindo emprego, distribuindo salário, distribuindo oportunidade, distribuindo sonhos e
Mas
esperanças.
isso funciona durante seu governo porque o problema é para o grande porção da população era que a violência, o problema de crime cresceu durante o governo do PT. Por causa disso, o Bolsonaro conseguiu explorar essa problema. Não é verdade
Não
que
cresceu
o
no
problema
governo do
do
PT. Não cresceu no governo do PT.
And fam, he talked about that. It was so deep. He's like, look, if you want to reduce crime, you hand out education, you hand out jobs, you hand out opportunity, you hand out food, and then they're less likely to steal your jacket or your shoes or whatnot. And he understand to solve poverty is you give them hope, you rise them out of poverty.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what he was doing, which is dangerous, of course, to the entire balance of the United States. And this is why the United States wants to get involved, because the United States doesn't want a successful socialist state to exist.
Yeah.
Or country,
Yeah.
It would undermine everything they've been telling you, that capitalism by itself is the answer.
And I think the elitists, too, also want to hide, fam. They want crime. They want to sell
they
their
profit
weapons.
off of it.
They want to fill their beds in their prisons. They want craziness. They want, distortion. They want anarchy of sorts. So therefore, people own those prisons. People, sell those weapons. So it's the people right under the elites, all that little group of those, that 1% becoming the 4% is that they found their huckleberries, but the rest of us got to eat shit. And Lula wasn't about it. And Lula's going to talk more. Check this part over here. Lula's going to talk about election swings. And the reason why I bring up this part, fam, is because if it happened before, it could happen again. We can achieve some left progressive needs for the people. Take a look.
E a alternância de poder é uma coisa normal. Isso vale para os Estados Unidos, vale para a Alemanha, vale para o Brasil, vale. Uma eleição ganha a direita, outra eleição ganha a esquerda, uma outra eleição ganha...
Mas a direita está ganhando muito,
Agora,
muito país.
veja, nós tivemos um período muito extraordinário na América Latina. Um período de mais crescimento, de mais distribuição de renda, de mais inclusão social na América Latina, aconteceu de 2000 a 2014, com a eleição de Kirchner, Lagos, Cristina,
Kirchner,
Lula, Evo Morales, Chávez, Rafael Correa. Foi um momento de ouro da América Latina. Agora você está vivendo um momento da extrema-direita que estão fracassando de forma absurda. O Macri é um desastre na Argentina e ele é a solução. Tem um livro...
Por que isso está acontecendo?
Tem um livro do Mia Couto, que é um grande escritor moçambicano, que tem uma frase que é o seguinte: em tempo de terror, escolhemos monstros para nos proteger.
There you go. At times of terror, fam, we choose monsters to protect us. And he talked about the swing from the right. It's going to swing back to the left.
That's exactly right. And that's what we've been saying all along. You have two choices. You have the Bolsonaros or you have the Lulas. You don't have the in-between isn't working.
No.
And if you don't go hard on going towards a populist movement that is worker driven, that is inclusive of all people, you are going to lose to the Bolsonaros, the Donald Trumps of the world. And he talked about how Argentina, how bad it was. And he talked about Evo Morales, who is a socialist president, and they're divesting from banks, they're divesting from everything. And this is what the United States does not want you to know, that there is a way that is entirely possible, and even in a country that is going to be more difficult to achieve with the racial implications, you can still be on your way and do it.
Yeah.
And it's economic and it's also cultural, but it's all there. It's all part of the same thing.
And then he also talks about why Trump is president. And I think the neoliberals, the centrists, or whoever they are out there, those party insiders, maybe you should listen to a little advice from Lula. He explains it once again, the way we've explained it on the show, the way other podcasters on the left, the progressives, have explained it. You have to pay attention to this, okay? This is why Donald Trump won. Take a look.
Vale. Eu sei que os americanos não acreditavam que o Trump tivesse a menor chance. E por que o Trump ganhou as eleições? Não foi por causa do Putin, como eles tentam falar. É por causa da mentira do fake news, como aqui no Brasil.
Só por causa disso?
Não, só por causa disso, por causa do desemprego, por causa da desesperança e por causa do discurso, sabe, do Estado Nacional forte, que é sempre uma coisa importante. Né? Ou seja, quando Reagan e Margaret Thatcher criaram a chamada globalização, na moda dos anos 80 era você falar que moderno era você ser globalizado, abrir a economia para todo mundo, deixar o capital transitar à vontade, embora o povo não pudesse transitar. Agora que a globalização começou a criar problemas para os países desenvolvidos, sobretudo para os Estados Unidos, o Trump encontrou um discurso fácil de falar, os Estados Unidos para os americanos, emprego para os americanos.
Presidente, sobre Trump, né, nos Estados Unidos não é bem conhecido que tem muitas pessoas que votaram no Obama em 2008, 2012 e depois votaram no Trump em 2016. E aqui no Brasil temos a mesma coisa. Muitas pessoas que votaram em você e depois na Dilma votaram no ano passado no Bolsonaro. Como você explica isso?
Posso te dizer uma coisa? Eu conheço razoavelmente bem a Hillary Clinton. Era muito fácil você encontrar uma pessoa mais popular do que ela. Ela não era uma figura simpática. Então a eleição do Trump se deveu ao fato dele ter um discurso correto para os operários brancos, sabe, da indústria automobilística que estavam ficando desempregados. Ele prometeu o óbvio emprego para o povo americano. Prometeu brigar com os chineses para o povo americano para gerar emprego. E isso fez ele ganhar as eleições.
There you go.
Olha, obviamente.
So, I mean, he goes on to say that if Donald Trump could, if Obama could run another term, he probably would have beaten Donald Trump. But they picked the wrong person. And once again, he fed on the discourse.
She wasn't a likable candidate.
Exactly.
He literally said that.
Yeah, he
No
knows
translation
her very
needed.
well, and he also fought for jobs. He talked about the automotive industry, and that's what I said. It's more about dollars and cents, and he played on that discourse. And the more we talk about Russia, the more we take away from actually finding the problems that really happened.
The more we
and why
talk
they
about
lost.
impeachment,
Exactly.
the more we take away from addressing the issues people are facing, and all. It just makes that whole theatrical thing the center of everything.
Yeah.
And especially if we talk about impeachment during the 2020 election, that is going to take over the election, and it's going to rival up his base. And that's what people don't understand. It's not like I like Donald Trump and I don't want him held accountable, but it's also the fact there's a reason why Nancy Pelosi isn't pushing for it. And it's not because she loves him. It's because she understands that they would be held accountable too. And it's as simple as that. You can't be a hypocrite. And the Democrats have been hypocrites all along. And that would take it over the top.
And they're not going after him for emoluments. They're talking about the Russia stuff, which is a red herring. And, fam, if people heard Lula say this, they'd probably call him a Russian bot. But,
He's Putin's bot.
And these Lex clips are kind of short. But this is really the passion part, fam, because get prepared to get fired up on a couple of these clips about Lula talking about growing the economy and helping the people. I mean, you're going to get fired up, fam. Watch this stuff. This is great. This is a great leader.
Política e velha política. Parar com essa bobagem. Quem quer governar, governa com o que tem. Eu governo o país que eu tenho. Eu não governava a França, nem a Alemanha, nem os Estados Unidos. Eu governava o Brasil. E quando eu cheguei no governo, tinha 54 milhões de pessoas que passavam fome, que não tomavam café de manhã. E eu tinha assumido o compromisso que no término do meu mandato, cada brasileiro iria estar tomando café, almoçando e jantando. É por isso que eu, mesmo sendo o único presidente que não tem o curso universitário, e também não troco o meu por alguns que têm, sabe? Não troco o meu por alguns que têm, sabe? Sou o presidente da República que mais colocou estudantes na universidade, que mais fez universidade federal, que mais fez escolas técnicas na história do país, que mais fez política de transferência de renda, que mais aumentou o salário mínimo, que mais fez assentamento do sem terra.
Mas como pode explicar o sofrimento da população que trouxe Bolsonaro na presidência depois de 14 anos do PT?
Por que eu fiz isso, querido? Por que eu fiz tudo isso? Sabe, que eu acabei de dizer. Porque eu Entendo que se alguém quiser resolver os problemas do Brasil, alguém tem que utilizar a palavra povo. Alguém tem que olhar para as pessoas e enxergar um ser humano. As pessoas não podem enxergar um número. As pessoas não podem enxergar uma dívida. Você quer diminuir a dívida pública do Brasil? Faça a economia crescer. Você quer diminuir o déficit da Previdência? Gere emprego. Por que em 2014 a Previdência era superavitária? Porque nós criamos 20 milhões de empregos com carteira assinada. Porque nós legalizamos 6 milhões de microempreendedores individuais. Coloque a economia para funcionar. Só fala em corte. Ora, fala em crescimento, desenvolvimento. Olha para o povo, não olha para os bancos. Olha, como é que você pode imaginar um país crescer tendo um presidente batendo continência para a bandeira americana?
I mean, fam. Go ahead, fam.
No, you go ahead. You have a lot to say.
That just... It's what it's all about. Not a college degree, wouldn't switch places with some of those people. It's about a lot of the compassion you have within inside your heart to do the things you want to do. And then also in this next clip, he's going to give an example of what he did to people within his own cabinet that worked for him and how he wanted to govern. And he wants to find candidates like that have that history of the past, to know what it's like to suffer, to know what it's like to not have basic needs and things.
Ultimately, what we've been told all along, and it's not just here in the United States, obviously, but it's throughout the world, is that in order to be a government official, you need to be an elite educated person. You need to have all of these accolades, be some sort of insider. But that hasn't worked because that's not representative of the majority of the people. It's only working when we have someone that's representative of the people, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who was a working class millennial, and several of her other people like Ilhan Omar, an immigrant. Like all of these people, they're more representative of us. But when you look at the entire Congress and the entire Senate, you see people that are absolutely not representative of the population. And that's also something that happens throughout the world. And that's the point. We need to stop thinking that we need to choose people based on how they look presidential, based on how they talk. A presidential Bernie Sanders is a Brooklyn guy that has no apologies, but he gets shit done. And it doesn't matter. I don't care where he was educated, as long as I know that he's educated and he has in mind, he stands with the working people. He's been doing it forever. Tulsi Gabbard is another one that goes and talks to people like as if she wasn't even a congresswoman. And so that's what we need. And that's the point he's trying to make.
We don't look at people like numbers as deficits. You know what I'm saying? We look at them as human beings. But it's also, fam, too, it's the cultural divide, too. It's this kind of privileged, elitist mentality. And yes, in Brazil, there are race elements to it as well, and just look at this next clip. It's a short clip, too, about when he talks about all these people for the first time. They get to get on a plane, they get to fly, they get to eat in restaurants. Watch how Lula talks about this. This is
Glenn, nós começamos a nossa entrevista, eu comecei dizendo que o grande problema do PT não foi o erro do PT. O grande problema do PT foram os acertos do PT. Ou seja, na América Latina, toda vez que apareceu um presidente que tentou fazer política social, ele foi derrubado. Todas as vezes. A elite brasileira e a elite de outros países não aceitam uma política de desenvolvimento que tem inclusão social. Então, o PT conseguiu fazer, isso não é dito por mim, é dito pela ONU. O PT conseguiu fazer a maior política de inclusão social da história deste país. É importante lembrar que no nosso governo foi o único momento na história em que os mais pobres tiveram um crescimento percentual acima dos mais ricos. Não que os ricos não ganharam, mas que os pobres cresceram percentualmente mais. Foi a única vez e começou a incomodar. Você deve ter ouvido no aeroporto do Galeão, no aeroporto de Congonhas, o aeroporto parece uma rodoviária. Tá cheio de pobre aqui andando, gente que não sabia nem frequentar aeroporto.
Então, por que tem tanta raiva desse país que...
Fam, they were bothered because now poor people were able to get on a plane and they're saying it looks like a bus stop. They were able to eat in their restaurants. So the Brazilian elites bought this and they went after this man. And even though they made money, fam, they couldn't stand to see poor people rising out of poverty, going to the schools that they used to. They wanted their privilege. They wanted their entitlement, and he wasn't giving it to them.
And Pasta, I have to say, this is also a racial element because
time.
I've seen this
Big time.
in Peru. I've seen it myself. I've seen, a lot of the native people and the African people, when they come into the capital, that everybody who's from there is like, oh, this looks bad. It makes it look bad. And there is definitely a racial element to that. They feel like they're being, it's that like, oh, I'm now the minority. I'm scared. Like, like these people are coming in. And the elites, they can pretend that they want these people to get better all they want. But as long as they keep them under them consistently, they'll give them scraps. And that's what's happening here in the United States too. They're like, oh yeah, we care about you, we'll give you this, we'll give you that, but it's never enough to actually have the people be in control of the means of production, which is what the United States oligarchy and other oligarchies like in Bolsonaro most fear.
Yeah, and it's like said, they couldn't pull off this resource extraction without these Brazilian elites feeling this way. And yes, the U.S. DOJ hands are all over this. We know this. And the last part, because when he talks about finding candidates, he also talked about Venezuela, how Venezuela deserves their own sovereignty. He did get addressed. The interview went so long. He did address the rainforest, that Bolsonaro he has no limits. He's just opening up. But this last one, when he talks about what he did with his administration, and we need to see this within our own elected officials over here. I'm sick and tired of these people in the Democratic Party protecting and standing up for these fucking elitists. They haven't lived a life like us. Look what Lula does to his cabinet if he takes on a banker or someone else. Take a look at this. This is amazing.
Mas quero perguntar
Porque
sobre...
todos foram
Não,
tratados com
concordo. Você saiu com 86% aprovação. E uma das partes mais importantes, na minha opinião, do seu apelo político foi a sua infância e formação, que você vem da pobreza, que você não aprendeu a ler até 10 anos, era trabalhador desde cedo, como milhões de brasileiros. E eu quero saber se você acha que é importante que os partidos da esquerda sejam mais representados por pessoas que não aprenderam sobre pobreza na faculdade como teoria, mas que cresceram na pobreza e, portanto, entendem essa experiência na pele, podem falar com credibilidade com o povo sobre pobreza, sobre essa experiência. E você acha que a esquerda brasileira, a esquerda internacional tem isso agora, como você conseguiu fazer?
Olha, eu acho que a esquerda tem muita gente bem estudada, bem intelectualizada, que pode fazer isso. O que nós precisamos...
Mas é a mesma coisa?
O que nós precisamos é criar compromissos. Não é possível você governar um país... Você está lembrado qual foi a atitude que eu tomei quando eu ganhei as eleições?
Claro.
Você está lembrado que eu coloquei todo o ministério num avião e levei todos os ministros para os 4 lugares mais pobres do Brasil? O que eu queria com aquilo? Eu queria que um Meirelles, que era banqueiro, eu queria que um Palocci, que era médico, eu queria que um Furlan, que era empresário, conhecesse uma palacita, que visse o homem e a mulher no mesmo lugar que eles defecavam, eles comiam. Eu queria que eles vissem a quantidade de meninas, sabe, com 2 ou 3 filhos, com pai desaparecido. Eu queria que eles vissem o Vale do Jequitinhonha, eu queria que eles conhecessem o mundo, tal como ele é, não o mundo de Brasília. Então a esquerda ela tem que assumir compromisso. Você não vai conseguir governar se você não definir para quem que você quer priorizar. Para quem que eu vou governar? Eu gosto de todo mundo.
And that's what it is, fam. We need to get our priorities straight on the left. Who are these people standing up for? Who are they governing? And he put them all on a plane, every single one of his ministers. Send them to each remote parts of Brazil to learn, to know what it's like of poverty and seeing it. And he wanted these people to see it for his own eyes. Fan, do you have anything to add? Because I want to get out of this and get on to the other stuff and stuff.
No.
I just put up a really quick tweet, and I'm just going to transition out of this. My personal tweet. I said, Mohammed Mossadegh, who is Iran, CIA removed him. Jacobo Arbenez, Guatemala, Banana Republic. Salvador Allende was Chile. The 9/11, the first 9/11. Manuel Zelaya, sorry for yelling so loud, of Honduras, 2009. Lula da Silva jail, Who's next? Who's next? They went after Maduro, and that little article I have right below it in the doc, fam. I'm just want to give people a little thing because we talked about it before. We're giving you a little insight. Look what it says, Fandite. Activist bullshit. Push for tougher sanctions on Nicaragua's government. We already got our next guy in sight, in line. Here he is, Daniel Ortega. And I've been reading a book that our friend Ernesto gave us about. Now we can speak about what happened in Nicaragua and the revolution, and this guy was a part of it. He came from the poor upbringing, and now we're trying to shut him down, fam. I'm sorry for taking so long, but this stuff was held over from last week. I'm really passionate about this one because it's all connected, fam.
You're right.
It really is.
It is. A lot of people don't really care about foreign policy. A lot of people don't even pay attention to it at all, which is something you have to change.
I forgot your boy Bernie, though. Do you have the one tweet from Bernie, though, real quick? Because there is somebody who pays attention to this, fam. And he's was like the only one right here.
He's the only presidential candidate that has said it. Do you want to
read
it? Yeah.
During his presidency, Lula da Silva oversaw huge reductions in poverty and remains Brazil's most popular politician. I stand with the political and social leaders across the globe who are calling on Brazil's judiciary to release Lula and annul his conviction, fam. So at least Bernie Sanders is out there. He knows that we had a part in this. He knows this man's unjustly there. Thank you, Bernie, for leading the pack. One of the reasons why you're one of only 3 candidates I would vote for.
One of only 3?
Yep.
Who's the third?
Tulsi?
The third?
Oh, I'm sorry. Mike Gravel.
Oh, okay.
Or Mike Gravel.
I think, yeah. I was like, who?
Well, I mean, he's still in it. Listen,
no, he is in it.
Donate $1 so he can get in the second debate.
After
we read out the field.
I'm really pissed that he didn't make it. But.
Fam, first night, I know you're looking for somebody. You're waiting for somebody on that stage, aren't you? Elizabeth Warren.
So, let's go ahead and talk this because a lot of people have been saying, you can't attack Elizabeth Warren. She's just like Bernie. You're hurting progressives, blah, 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 blah. That is just not true. First of all, I'm not attacking Elizabeth Warren. Talking about her lack of policy, her bad policy, and her lack of integrity in certain instances is not attacking her. It is literally just letting people know that not everything is peachy and not everything is just as simple as equating her to Bernie, because I don't have a problem with people voting for Elizabeth Warren. I have a problem with people trying to say that she is the equivalent or more progressive than Bernie when she is absolutely not. And that's the problem I have. That's exactly the problem I have.
And Tulsi in the same breath.
Oh yeah. When they want to talk policy, we'll talk policy. I have all the receipts. So Elizabeth Warren, I would rather her tell me I'm going to take corporate than what she's doing. So remember how she said she was not going to take any PAC money in the primary, but she was open to it in the general. We all know that. We all saw that. She said it in multiple interviews. She actually said that she wasn't going to do that. But what actually happened was that she funneled some money from her Senate campaign in 2018 into her presidential campaign, which is actually legal. But again, she's not being honest about the fact that she's not taking PAC money when in fact she is. So basically, let me kind of summarize this. She took the leftover PAC money which was about $10 million from her Senate campaign to her presidential campaign. And that includes $4.9 million from the Elizabeth Warren Action Fund, which took PAC and industry funds up until last year. Her FEC filings show that her pledge of not taking then PAC money is, of course, disingenuous because she's technically running on this corporate money. So all you guys have to do is look at her FEC filings and go to Open Secrets and you'll be able to find this. But this local paper called Gloucester Times talked about this. He said that they collected $6 million in the first quarter of this year, banking 213,000 contributions from 135,000 donors with an average donation of $28, her campaign said. But she also transferred $10 million in leftover campaign cash from her run to Senate last year. And so this guy named Toby Berkowitz, which is a Boston University professor who specializes in political communication, said her use of PAC money from leftover campaign cash could come back and bite her, especially if the primary race heats up and other candidates decide to make an issue of it. He said Warren probably didn't have a choice, quote unquote, but to shun the glitzy fundraisers and rely on small donations, given her presidential campaign platform. She's running against Wall Street and big money in politics, he said. If you play that card and take money from wealthy donors, you're just going to be seen as a hypocrite.
Wait a second, fam. So you're telling me she took money from wealthy individuals that might want favors from her? Do you know about
Absolutely.
who those people are in particular? I
Yeah,
mean,
so first let me show you guys that this actually plays out. Johnny, can you pull up the things that shows the exact amount she took? And that all comes into play. All of that comes
I see
into
a 7
play.
million. I see a 3 million.
Yeah, so
That's
that
10
we're
million.
seeing being that funneled right. It's right there. Those are the receipts. So people don't think I'm just making this up to bash Elizabeth Warren, because I was a huge fan of Elizabeth Warren like
That
2
one
years
time.
ago.
Yeah, so was I.
And so her doing this is actually really it's really disappointing to me. And Elizabeth Warren's donors here we have, and you can find these on Open Secrets, but this is from Philoso Rob on Twitter.
Let's take a look at these. Bill Gates,
Amy Goldman,
Lauren Powell Jobs, Emily Levin, Chaim Saban, George Soros,
Steven Spielberg.
Okay, and that donkey Thomas Steyer, who won't go away.
And most of them gave to Hillary Clinton, and none have donated to Bernie Sanders. First of all, you have
Wow.
Soros in there, you're done.
Yeah, when you have Soros in there, you are completely 86 by me and stuff.
And then there's a few other tweets that show the difference between her and Bernie. There's one that shows, I think, how he took security and investment industry money. He took some 12,572 in 2018, and in 2012 he took 15,250, but she took 342,434 and 703,605.
Well, she
and
went
so,
down a little bit at least. I mean, can we give her a little credit there? I mean,
let's give her some credit for going
she
down.
left, you know.
But let's just stop the tracks here that she is the same as Bernie Sanders. She is in no way, shape, or form the same as Bernie Sanders.
Not
This
even
is what
close.
the establishment media is trying to do. And let me bring up this one other tweet of Neera Tanden. Neera Tanden has been propping
Pam.
her up. She's just been giving her accolades. And basically what I said is if Neera Tanden continues this, she will help sink Warren further. And no true progressive will ever vote for her. For someone that's being propped up by Neera Tanden. And
Can I read Neera Tanden's thing?
Please do.
If wait, give me Neera Tanden's post because I want to read it in Neera Tanden voice. The great part of Elizabeth Warren's rise is that she shows the importance of grit. Lots of people counted her out, and she just worked her tail off. Okay, unlike Bernie, who's got $1 million house in the Hamptons somewhere, or I don't know where it's at. Okay, I mean he made millions of dollars.
They're showing, the Niko pointed this out too, that when Bernie put out so much grit and worked hard, they said, oh, he's being divisive. But what Elizabeth Warren does, stealing some of his platform. It's great. She has grit. It's all wonderful. It's all, and I just want to reiterate the fact that I think the idea of censoring people from even touching Elizabeth Warren is actually bad strategy, because she is in no way, shape, or form in the same realm as a Tulsi, because I'll tell you, we know that what happened in 2016, guess who was the only Sanders delegate out of the bunch that's going to be in the debates?
Tulsi
Gabbard. And Johnny, we have this graphic right here. So one of these is incorrect. I did not see that Julian Castro was a super delegate. I know he endorsed Hillary Clinton in 2016. I fact checked that. And Buttigieg, as it says, was a state delegate. He wasn't a super delegate, but that's what it says.
State delegate,
and Kamala Harris worked for her campaign. It says that, but some people are like, no, this isn't true. I'm like, read it. It says it.
It is true.
It says it.
So.
And Sanders, the only Sanders delegate, of course, was Tulsi Gabbard. So if you look at this without knowing anything, you see just a cesspool of neoliberals, Clinton establishment type supporters, and you see Bernie Sanders alone. And what that tells me is that the only person that I can fully rely on is Tulsi Gabbard to help Bernie Sanders out. And then, of course, Marianne Williamson, I know she worked for Bernie's campaign. She volunteered for his campaign last time around. And Yang wasn't even involved in politics. Those are the only three that might be like wild cards that are in this debate bunch right here that might be able to help Bernie out.
Yeah.
But aside from that, none of these people will, or I can't trust that they will. I can't trust that Warren will. I want to be wrong. I want to think she's going to do the right thing this time. But I can't really trust that considering her past behavior. And past behavior is the biggest predictor of future behavior.
Those who don't study history are doomed to repeat it. And if we don't understand what she did before by holding out, by not going to Standing Rock, which was really just a big slap in the face, her talk of green bombs, her supporting of the opposition in Venezuela. Let's not forget that she's awful on foreign policy.
And people want to gloss over that.
Great. And you cannot gloss over it.
Oh, yeah.
You cannot
I know
just figure it off the board.
I know she backtracked on Medicare for All, but That is, to me, that's the biggest. If you're a domestic policy person, that is the biggest no. She did back off of Medicare for all. She's kind of talking about other options and all this other stuff, and like that's not something that is acceptable. She also is a supporter of charter schools. We talked about this on the last show.
Yeah.
She's also terrible on foreign policy. She Maduro a dictator and didn't rectify versus Bernie when he started going in that route. He listened to us and he was like, oh no, Maduro is not a dictator.
Yeah.
And then he was like,
He did. Well, that's the stupid David Hush stuff, and he needs to get his ass out of there. And when
here's the
when he
thing.
stopped listening to Tulsi is when he came into these problems. When he was listening to Tulsi about foreign policy before she had her own campaign, he was more inclined to be on the right beat and right path. And he got it right in Brazil. So I mean,
he did. And here's the simple fact is there is probably a camp of Bernie advising him to be friendly to Warren. I'm not saying don't be friendly to her because I feel like he has to because he can't attack a woman. Like, you just can't do that. You know, they're already saying he's a sexist, whatever. I completely agree with him, but I'm not Bernie. We can call her out on her things. We can talk policy. I'm not talking about her appearance. I'm not talking about her being unintelligent. I'm focusing on the things she has done wrong and the lack of integrity she's shown thus far. And as someone who used to like her, I'm extremely disappointed in how she's behaved. And I'm sick of people propping her up to be the female version of Bernie and pushing this whole thing with him and her as if they're on the same side, and they're not. And the reason I said she was a spoiler for Bernie weeks ago was because there is no way, shape, or form that they can both come out on top. Like this, she's being propped up by Neera Tanden. She's being propped up by the mainstream media. They're lying for her. They're completely ignoring her lack of foreign policy. TYT is doing this nonstop, completely.
Anna's been awful about this.
Emma. All of these people, they're all propping her up, and it's disgusting to see. You can prop her up all you want. I will gladly go over the things she has done well, but if you don't mention the problems with her, then that just shows your bias, and that is ultimately the problem, and why we need to stop thinking of her as being the one to lead Bernie.
Yeah.
Again, if she's in his cabinet, I won't be opposed to that because I feel like she can be pushed more with Bernie in there.
Yeah.
But we need a Tulsi in there as well.
And I think it's important that she is not the vice president down the road. I don't want her to be the vice president. I'm sorry. To me, the biggest thing is the fact that she sat on the sidelines while Tulsi made a stand against Debbie Wasserman Schultz and walked away, gave up her power for the right of the people. And yet she hid behind the establishment and waited until it was clear and then endorsed Hillary Clinton. Fam, we got to get out of here. Do you want to finish up with anything else?
Yeah, I want to say that people are going to come back at you. Well, that was 2016. Like, you guys need to get over it. But here's the thing for me.
One of the most telling things.
Right now, in this very moment, bad foreign policy, no Medicare for all. Where is that going to take us? We're not going to change a thing. Yeah. And that's not going to beat Donald Trump. That is the biggest issue for me. That's not going to beat Donald Trump.
Green bombs is pretty big too as well.
It's not. It would lose to Donald Trump completely. And if we want to change the system, we cannot fix it using the same mechanisms that caused the problem. And Bernie Sanders said it himself. There's no middle ground. Yeah. There's no middle ground. And he's also encompassing the people who are middle ground. Yeah. So
even the way she opened up her whole fucking campaign, Elizabeth Warren, by taking a Native American, test to show that she was Native American. Hey, I'd rather you save the dollars on that DNA test and got your ass to Standing Rock, where Tulsi Gabbard was, protesting a friggin' pipeline, you green bombing weirdo. Anyways, fam, let's get on out of here. For Pasta
bombing weirdo.
Green bombing weirdo. For Pasta Jardula.
Fiorella. Oh, hey, wait.
Michael Yu.
No, Michael Yu. Thank you so much.
Yes,
for
Michael Yu. Where are
donations.
You at? We love you.
You're amazing.
Yes.
And also, you guys, ladies in the audience, glasses on or off for Pasta?
Oh,
he wants to know.
Yeah.
He wants to know.
I want to send some love out to our editor-in-chief, our engineer, Johnny Tsunami.
Johnny Pesto.
He's been great, a.k.a. Johnny Opossum yesterday. He went running from a big opossum in our yard. Once again, we're out of here.
Bye, guys.
Say it.
Combo out.
You have to. That's our thing.
Sorry.